In today's world, conversations around LGBTQ+ issues and woke culture have become increasingly prominent.
To protect LGBTQ students.
LGBTQ pride flag.
Of the LGBTQ
100 LGBTQ terms.
The story of LGBTQ
openly LGBT self.
Between 2000 and 2024, the number of people who identify as LGBTQ+ has nearly doubled globally, rising from approximately 3.5% to 7.1%. Pew Research Center. In the United States, a recent Gallup poll found that 71% of people now support LGBTQ+ rights, compared to just 54% in 2000. This significant increase in LGBTQ+ identification and support illustrates how our society has evolved in its understanding of identity, equality, and human rights. The rising numbers are a testament to the growing visibility of LGBTQ+ individuals and the efforts of activists, advocates, and allies who have worked tirelessly for acceptance and equality. Amidst these discussions, many seek guidance from their faith traditions. For people of faith, understanding these changes can be challenging. What would Jesus say if he were here today, witnessing these modern dialogues? How would he respond to those who are marginalized, those whom society struggles to understand? As people of faith grapple with these evolving cultural dynamics, many find themselves caught between maintaining traditional beliefs and extending unconditional love. This tension underscores the importance of returning to the teachings of Jesus, whose life was marked by radical love, compassion, and inclusion. This documentary explores the teachings of Jesus and how they provide a biblical response to these contemporary issues. It aims to offer insights that can help bridge the gap between faith and acceptance, showing that the core message of Jesus is one of love, love that transcends fear, prejudice, and misunderstanding. By examining the life of Jesus and the lessons he imparted, we can begin to navigate these challenging conversations with empathy, grace, and an open heart, seeking to emulate the same inclusive love that he demonstrated during his time on earth. When we talk about Jesus, we talk about love, and not just any love, a love that goes beyond what is easy, what is familiar, a love that reaches into the darkest, loneliest places to find those who have been cast out. Jesus' love is a love that challenges norms and demands us to extend compassion and kindness to everyone, even those society deems unworthy. To understand Jesus' approach to marginalized communities, we must first look at his life and teachings. Throughout the Gospels, Jesus consistently reached out to those whom society deemed unworthy: lepers, whose very presence required others to keep their distance; tax collectors, who were seen as betrayers of their people; and Samaritans, foreigners and enemies in the eyes of the Jewish population. Jesus did not merely acknowledge their existence. He embraced them, spoke to them, healed them, and showed them that they too were beloved children of God. Jesus did not merely accept these people, he elevated them. He took the outcasts, the despised and the condemned, and he gave them dignity. According to historical estimates, nearly 30% of the population in Roman-occupied Judea lived on the margins of society. Yet Jesus showed, time and time again, that no one was beyond the reach of his love. He saw each person as inherently valuable, worthy of respect, compassion, and community. This radical love and inclusion serve as a timeless model for us today, inviting us to reconsider our own prejudices and biases. Fast forward to today, where woke culture seeks to address systemic inequalities and promote inclusivity. The LGBTQ+ movement is part of this cultural shift, a shift that advocates for the dignity and rights of every person. But for many in faith communities, these conversations are difficult. There is tension, a desire to be true to faith, and at the same time, a desire to love others as Jesus did. This tension is often at the root of debates within churches, family gatherings, and friendships, as people struggle to understand how to reconcile their beliefs with the evolving social landscape. This is the question at the heart of our journey. How do we reconcile the teachings of Jesus with the world around us? How do we ensure that our actions reflect the profound love that Jesus showed to those marginalized by society? These questions are not easy, but they are necessary if we are to live out our faith authentically. A recent Gallup poll from 2023 found that 71% of people in the United States support LGBTQ+ rights, compared to 54% in 2000. These numbers show the evolving attitudes of our time. They also remind us that, for many in the LGBT+ community, faith and acceptance do not always go hand in hand. Despite the progress we see, there remains a significant gap between the ideals of love and acceptance taught by Jesus and the reality of exclusion and rejection experienced by many LGBTQ+ individuals within faith communities. Generation Z, a generation marked by change, this generation is asking questions that challenge us. Are we living up to Jesus' command to love? Are we truly welcoming all into our communities without judgment or condemnation? For young people who have grown up in an increasingly connected world, they see diversity as a strength and inclusion as a moral imperative. A new command I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. John 13:34. Jesus' love is unconditional. This is a truth repeated in Sunday school classes, in sermons and in Bible study groups around the world. But statistics show that many LGBTQ+ youth do not feel this love from the church. They feel excluded, unwanted, and often face judgment instead of compassion. This disconnect between the message of Jesus and the actions of some of his followers is a tragedy that must be addressed if we are to be true disciples. A 2022 survey by the Human Rights Campaign found that 59% of LGBTQ+ youth feel that their religious community is not welcoming. This statistic, a cold, hard fact, is a stark reminder that Jesus' example is one of transcending divisions, not building walls. Jesus embraced those whom others rejected. He ate with sinners, spoke with the outcast, and offered healing to those shunned by society. The church must reflect that same spirit of radical love and hospitality. Consider the story of the Good Samaritan. In this parable, Jesus challenged the societal norms of his time. Who is your neighbor? It is not just the person who looks like you or believes what you believe. Your neighbor is the one who needs your love. It is the stranger, the outsider, the one who has been hurt and left behind. In the parable, it is the Samaritan, a person viewed with disdain by the Jewish audience, who exemplifies true love and compassion. The message is clear. Love knows no boundaries and extends beyond social, ethnic, and religious lines. In the United States, nearly 50% of LGBTQ+ individuals report feeling marginalized by faith communities. For many, this sense of exclusion can lead to profound loneliness and despair. But Jesus' message was always one of inclusion. He reached out to those marginalized by society, and we are called to do the same. The church must be a place of refuge, a sanctuary where all people feel welcomed, valued, and loved unconditionally. This is the work that requires courage and humility as we examine our own hearts and our communities to remove barriers that prevent others from experiencing God's love. When LGBTQ+ individuals feel accepted and loved within their faith community, the impact is profound. A 2023 study by the Trevor Project found that LGBTQ+ youth who had access to supportive communities were 60% less likely to consider self-harm and 50% less likely to experience symptoms of depression. These statistics are not just numbers. They represent real lives, real people who are longing for connection and love. The difference that acceptance can make is literally life-saving. I want to support my LGBTQ+ friends while staying true to my beliefs. I think the most important thing is to listen, to really hear their stories. We may not have all the answers, but love can be our guide. There are still challenges. Entrenched biases, deeply rooted traditions, and fears of the unknown have made these conversations difficult. But by following Jesus' example, by listening, by showing compassion, we can build bridges where there were once walls. Listening is a powerful act of love. When we listen to someone's story without judgment, we affirm their worth and acknowledge their humanity. It is through listening that understanding grows, and it is through understanding that love is able to flourish. There is a need for theological reflection that recognizes the diversity within the body of Christ. A 2021 survey by Lifeway Research found that 34% of pastors are seeking ways to better understand LGBTQ+ issues, which is encouraging. It shows a willingness to grow. Mission is to embody Christ's love. This means actively engaging with and supporting all members of our community, including those who are LGBTQ+, creating spaces where everyone feels safe, valued, and loved. This is the work of the church. It requires us to be intentional in our outreach, to educate ourselves, and to challenge prejudices that may exist within our hearts or within our congregations. It means offering not just words of welcome, but actions that demonstrate our commitment to inclusion. Love one another. As I have loved you, so must you love each other. In engaging with LGBTQ+ conversations, Christians are called to emulate Jesus' radical love, embracing the marginalized, listening to their stories, and offering a place of safety. The path is not always clear, and the journey is not always easy. But love, the kind that reaches across divides and pulls people in, is worth the struggle. It is worth the discomfort, the difficult conversations, and the vulnerability it requires. The love Jesus demonstrated was not passive, it was active, sacrificial, and transformative. I feel inspired to deepen my understanding, to be a more compassionate ally, and to walk this journey alongside my LGBTQ+ friends. And I appreciate the effort to create a space where I can be myself without fear, where I am seen as a child of God, just like anyone else. In a world striving for greater inclusivity, the teachings of Jesus offer a timeless guide for building bridges and healing divisions. By focusing on love, respect, and genuine connection, faith communities can navigate these complex conversations with grace and wisdom, reflecting the very essence of Christ's call to love. The journey towards inclusivity is not about compromising our beliefs, but about living out the most fundamental of them. Love your neighbor as yourself. This is the essence of the gospel, the good news that Jesus came to proclaim. Love is the greatest commandment of all. May we learn to love as he loved, without conditions, without reservations, and without fear.